deep bite models? Deep bite models? Deep bite?
Yeah.
Deep bite? Yeah, okay, that's right. Lights are good?
Yeah, it's fine.
Yep, all right. Okay, so it's just my hands, me talking, what's happening? It's just your
Hold
hands.
on.
In that space, unfortunately.
That's right, I just want to, there, now I can see it, right? So tell me if I'm on or off the screen, you move it as you go.
Yeah.
Right, ready?
Yep.
Action, go. Okay, we're going to discuss how we intrude incisors in a deep bite. In this particular case, we have 100% complete bite almost to the palate. I want to intrude these incisors because this patient has a gummy smile, and by intruding we're reducing the gummy smile as well as we are preventing the upper and lower incisors from hitting the palate. So one way of starting the case is using an intrusion arch. This intrusion arch can be easily bent, which is the purpose of this video. The technique was developed by Burstone. It's called a Burstone intrusion arch. It's bent using beta titanium wire or TMA. The beta titanium wire is flexible and easy to bend, but it's rigid enough to maintain the intrusion forces. You can't do this with nitai because it won't retain the shape. If you use stainless steel, I find that forces are heavier and of course it's harder to bend. So this is a ortho-organizer's wire. They call their beta titanium CNA. And the size wire that I'd like to bend this up in is a mid-range rectangular. Mid-range meaning 1425 or 1625 or 1825. 1625 is the ideal one for me. It's quite flexible, and because you're not sliding on this, you're not worried about the increased friction associated with beta titanium. The pliers that you will need will be a Jarraback plier, also known as a half round, and what you will do, you'll get a marker and you'll thank you. You'll mark the opening of the molar tube. So you mark that on one side and then mark it again on the other side. The ideal marker, of course, to use would be a permanent marker rather than a pencil. So, marking one side of the arch, marking the other side of the arch, then using the Jarraback plier, you can see you've got one round component. On the round component, you bend, and then you bend the loop right round. Now make sure when you bend that the bend is buckle off the wire, because if it's lingual, of course it won't go in the molar tube. That's one of the common errors I see people make. The amount of intrusion is determined by this angle. That's excessive amount of intrusion. It's about 45 degrees. What we want is about 20 degrees of intrusion, so more like that. Now if I just put this on this model and we place it in front of the molar, you can see how powerful the intrusion force is already. People ask, do you place this directly into the brackets, or do you use a piggyback technique? Well, it depends on what you're trying to achieve. You can place it directly in the brackets, and that's why I don't use a big size TMA wire, particularly if you've already done some leveling and aligning. But if you haven't done leveling and aligning, you could have a base wire, which is doing your leveling and aligning, and then you could have this as a piggyback wire, and you tie the intrusion arch to the main wire at one point contact. Well, that would mean, though, you'd need a molar tube that has two openings, a double molar tube. Right? So very simple to bend. You can see that took just a matter of seconds. If you want to buy these pre-formed, you can, but then of course you have to keep a large inventory. At every visit, when the patient comes back in, I will check the amount of activation. If it needs more activation, it's very simple. It's removed from the mouth, and then again using the half round end, you can just open that angle. As you open the angle, you get the activation. So if I just bend it on the other side just for completeness, remember the main thing is to find the mark, because if it's not, then it's going to be asymmetric because it goes in the mouth. And I've lost my mark here, but let's assume it's that one. And bend it always on the buckle. If you don't bend it on the buckle, the problem that you will have
Other way.
is that you won't be able to, oops, I've been it the wrong way around. Well, that just shows you how you can use this in the lower arch to intrude teeth. Sorry. Here's one I made earlier today. So by having both on that side and by placing them in the mouth, it's then, if you just use this, now this is obviously not bent to this size, but if you can have a look at how much intrusion you can achieve, it's quite a lot. And it's gentle forces. People ask, will you get root resorption? With the TMA, and particularly if you're using lighter intrusion vector of force, I don't see an increased chance of root resorption, whereas I used to see that in heavy stainless steel, etc., etc. Okay, that's 10 minutes?
No,
It's 5.
Five.
Five.
Wow, that's a